Well, I just wanted to point out as well, you've got the incredible alternate makeup on. What can you tell me about this? If only people knew the amount of time, as we've chronicled here on the channel, that he spends each and every day painting his face and then going out on stage with one of the most intense live shows you can find in the world.
Obviously, it's been tough being out here without our brother, know what he's doing with what he's dealing with. It's just unbelievable. But, this is just a true sign that, heavy metal music and the people that are involved with it just save lives.
Backstage energy is always intense, but this moment with Chad Gray felt different. Minutes before Mudvayne was set to tear into another explosive show on the LD 50 anniversary tour, Chad stepped away from the chaos and opened up in a way no one expected. The lights, the noise, the hype, none of it could hide the weight he was carrying. And when he spoke about Greg Tribbett, the bandmate who helped shape Mudvayne from the very beginning, that weight became impossible to ignore. Fans came for the music, but what they witnessed was something far deeper, a raw emotional tribute that showed just how much Greg still means to the heart of this band. But the real story behind Chad's moment of honesty goes much further than what anyone saw on camera. As the tour rolled from city to city, the energy on stage never dipped. New music blasting, crowds screaming, and the LD 50 anniversary pulling in fans from every generation. But even with all that adrenaline, there was an unmistakable emptiness following Chad every night. He didn't try to hide it. He admitted the truth straight up. Performing without Greg Tribbett has been one of the hardest parts of this entire run.
And the fans have been saving me every single night, going out there and I'm trying to empower them and uplift them, and they'd be safe for me. So just kind of say every night, we're there to save each other's lives, so let's do it.
Greg wasn't just a guitarist. He was a piece of the band's identity, the spark that helped shape the chaos, the creativity, and the chemistry that turned Mudvayne into a movement. And without him out there beside them, Chad said it felt like a shadow constantly trailing the show. That's why the fans became more important than ever. Chad talked about how every night he walks on stage trying to lift the crowd, push them, empower them, but somehow the fans end up lifting him even more.
I'm just grateful for what we have, what we achieved, in this 25 years since this album's been released, and I still remember releasing it. So I'm light years away from that, but it's really great to see the people that were there from the very beginning. And then since we've come back, all the new fans that we had that probably maybe became fans of ours when we were on hiatus, that maybe never thought they'd see us again. I'm about to see.
It's the kind of mutual energy heavy music was built on, the kind that keeps people going when life feels overwhelming. And night after night, he said the crowd has been saving him, reminding him why the band still matters and why the legacy Greg helped build refuses to fade away. But the story didn't stop with the emotional toll of the tour. What Chad revealed next was even more personal. When Chad finally shifted the conversation to Greg, everything seemed to slow down. His voice softened. The excitement of the tour faded into the background, and you could feel the weight of the last 25 years settle on his shoulders. He didn't talk about Greg like a missing bandmate or a guitarist who wasn't on this tour. He spoke about him like a brother, someone whose presence shaped the band's identity, someone whose influence still echoes through every riff, every stage dive, and every chaotic moment Mudvayne creates.
It's been a long time since, we had released the music, and it takes a minute for people to get to know it, you know what I mean? But it seems like each and every show, it gets a little, the fans know the more. As we keep moving.
Chad didn't reveal details about what Greg is working on now, but the way he said it made one thing clear. Whatever Greg is doing, it's important, and Chad respects it completely. He described the experience of stepping on stage without Greg as unbelievable, not because it was surprising, but because it felt surreal. After building a career together, after surviving the highs and lows that only a band can understand, suddenly performing without that familiar energy standing to his left was something he still couldn't fully process. But instead of hiding that, he turned it into a moment of honesty, a gesture that hit fans straight in the heart.
Well, I just wanted to point out as well, you've got the incredible alternate makeup on. What can you tell me about this?
I did this in 2001, I think maybe twice. And I just did it for the first time since then, about 3 days ago. And then, or Nashville or Atlanta, I can't remember, one of those two. And it's been really cool, man. I get a lot of positive feedback on it and stuff like that. I just want to enhance everybody's experience, so just change it up.
This wasn't just a shout out or a casual mention. It was a full, heartfelt salute to the guy who helped write the blueprint for Mudvayne's sound. And as Chad spoke, it became obvious that honoring Greg wasn't just about the past. It was about making sure fans never forget how much he contributed to the band's future. But Chad didn't stop there. His tribute opened the door to a wave of memories that took him all the way back to Mudvayne's earliest days. Once Chad started talking about Greg's impact, it naturally pulled him into a flood of memories, moments that stretched all the way back to the release of LD50. You could tell he wasn't just remembering an album, he was remembering a lifetime. He talked about being light years away from those early days, yet somehow feeling like he could still see every detail clearly. The late-night rehearsals, the chaos of their first tours, the doubt, the hunger, the wild belief that they were building something different. And standing beside him through all of it was Greg, shaping the sound and pushing the band to take risks no one else was taking at the time. What stood out most was how Chad described the fans who have been there from the very beginning. He shared how surreal it feels to look out from the stage and see faces that have literally grown up with Mudvayne. People who were teenagers when LD50 dropped and now show up with their own kids, still wearing the same Twisted Grin shirts from 2000. But just as powerful were the brand new fans. Teenagers who discovered the band during their hiatus, never expecting to see them live, suddenly screaming every lyric like they've been part of the chaos since day one. Chad seemed genuinely moved by that mixture. The older, longtime diehards standing shoulder to shoulder with fresh faces just discovering the madness. And in that blend of generations, Greg's presence was everywhere. His guitar parts, his writing, his influence, it all lives on in the songs that shaped people's lives. Even with Greg physically absent from the tour, the sound he helped create is still echoing through arenas, still inspiring young fans, still reminding the old ones why they never let go. For Chad, that's more than nostalgia. It's proof that what they built together didn't just survive, it evolved, grew, and reached people they never expected. But as powerful as the memories were, Chad wasn't stuck in the past. The moment he began talking about Mudvayne's new music, everything shifted again. After looking back, Chad shifted straight into what keeps the band moving forward, the new music. He talked about how surreal it feels to finally play fresh songs again after so many years, especially tracks like Her People, which fans are slowly starting to connect with more every night. They even switch things up at certain shows, rotating sticks and stones into the set list to keep the energy unpredictable. Chad made it clear that the band is proud of how the new material blends with the classics, modern, heavier, but still carrying the same spirit Greg helped build from the beginning. Even without Greg physically on stage, his influence is woven into the sound, giving every performance a familiar edge. But the biggest surprise wasn't the music, it was something visual, something Chad brought back after more than 2 decades. What truly caught fans off guard was Chad unveiling the alternate face paint he hadn't worn since 2001. It wasn't a gimmick or a throwback for nostalgia's sake. He brought it back to elevate the entire experience. He explained how the design took hours to recreate, each line painted with the same intensity he had during Mudvayne's early years. And once he stepped under the lights with it, the crowd instantly felt the shift. The makeup wasn't just a visual change. It carried the raw, chaotic energy of the band's beginnings, the era where Greg's riffs and stage presence helped shape their identity. Chad said the reaction from fans was unreal. Messages, cheers, and a wave of excitement from people who recognized what the look represented. It reminded everyone that even after decades, he still pushes himself to give the audience something memorable, something real. And in its own way, the face paint became another quiet tribute to Greg, a reminder of the era they built together and the edge that defined Mudvayne from day one. But after all the memories, the new music, and the surprises on stage, Chad ended the moment with a message that hit deeper than anything else. When everything was said and done, Chad brought the conversation back to the people who have carried the band through every high and every setback, the fans. He thanked them not just for showing up, but for keeping him grounded, motivated, and emotionally steady during a tour that tested him more than most people realized. He made it clear that every scream, every lyric shouted back at him, every moment of connection out in the crowd has been its own kind of lifeline. And while he paid tribute to Greg, he also made the fans part of that tribute, reminding everyone that Mudvayne's story has always been built on loyalty, brotherhood, and a community that refuses to let the music fade. What Chad said next wasn't dramatic, it was real. He told fans that they've been saving him just as much as he tries to uplift them, creating a bond that goes far beyond a single tour or album. And with that honesty, he closed the moment on a note that stayed with everyone who heard it. Even with Greg off the road, Chad made it clear that the bond between them hasn't weakened. It's just moved into a different chapter. He talked about how the music they created together still pulses through every venue, every night, no matter who's physically on stage. That kind of connection doesn't disappear, and Chad wasn't shy about saying it. He framed Mudvayne not as a band built on trends or eras, but as a brotherhood forged through years of chaos, creativity, and survival. Greg's influence is still in the crowd reactions, in the riffs that shake the room, and in the legacy the fans continue to celebrate. And for Chad, honoring Greg wasn't just about acknowledging the past, it was about showing that their story is still alive, evolving, and carried forward by everyone who believes in it. But before wrapping up the moment, Chad left fans with a reminder that tied everything together. As the lights dimmed and the cheers echoed through the arena, Chad Gray's tribute to Greg Tribbett lingered in a way that went beyond a simple thank you. It was a reminder that Mudvayne's legacy isn't just in albums or stage shows, it's in the connections between bandmates, the loyalty of fans, and the energy that flows from one generation of listeners to the next. Chad made it clear, the music, the memories, and the brotherhood they built are still alive, and the spirit of Greg Tribbett continues to resonate with every note. If moments like this moved you, make sure to hit subscribe, leave a like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Every fan story keeps the legacy alive, and every voice adds to the journey of a band that's been shaping heavy metal for decades.